Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Volume 3, Number 4 of Constromart Knowledge and Experience series. I'm delighted to introduce our esteemed speaker for today's session, Mr. Kwesi Ocran, Mr. Paul Kwesi Ocran. Mr. Ocran operates at the dynamic interface of environmental and social risk, focusing on pivotal areas such as green buildings, resilient infrastructure development, carbon accounting and markets, and ESG technical assessments. Currently serving as a green building specialist consultant with IFC World Bank Group, he provides invaluable technical support to clients navigating their journey towards EDGE certification. His extensive expertise has contributed significantly to numerous projects across Africa, and he plays a pivotal role in IFC's design and for greater efficiency program, collaborating with professionals and students in Ghana, Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania to enhance capacity in green building design and assessment. Today, Paul will be enlightening us on the critical topic of green building certification, compliance, and infrastructure development. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mr. Paul Kwesi Ocran. Mr. Ocran, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here this very early morning. Yeah, good.
Right, so you're delighted to have you here. So you can go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, I'll do that now. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, perfect. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Great. So thanks everyone for joining. As I said, it's a pleasure being here, and we will look at the green building landscape. I've seen on the page on the initial page displayed, you will have seen a number of other green building certification system available in the market. LEED, BREEAM, Green Star, and name them. Yeah. But today we will be focused on IFC green building certification system called EDGE. EDGE is actually an abbreviation for excellence in design for greater efficiency. So without wasting more time, why are we so concerned about having green buildings at scale, right? Basically because of the old issues of climate change that we all know about, that is staring us in our face, and the impact that is actually ravaging through the system. Research has shown that at least 19% of the world greenhouse gas comes from buildings, and to be able to reduce this pressure, we need to move our building portfolio towards the net zero target, right? So the IPCC has proposed two broad year targets to make sure that to make sure that we are in the real estate sector, we are able to mitigate the impact of climate change. One of the targets is a target 2030, right, where all new buildings, for us to meet the climate goal, the temperature goal that we want to achieve, that's the 1.5 degrees Celsius. All new buildings needs to be net zero at that point, right? And as we go ahead, I'll explain what we mean by having a net zero building, right? And by 2050, all new and existing buildings need to be net zero. This is a very tall order, right? And basically, there's the drivers of the real issues are around urbanization. Even in Ghana, you will see that we have a rapid urbanization issues, and this also poses an economic opportunity as well. Are we able to deploy buildings at scale? Are we able to deploy green buildings at scale to make sure that these buildings are energy efficient, they are water efficient, and they have low embodied carbon in the material of construction. So again, the climate issues are staring us in the face. Buildings account for a critical part of that. What can we do? It poses a risk and also an opportunity for us to take. So for us as IFC in the real estate sector, we've been able to look at the issues in the two broad terminologies of around climate change solutions, right? One, climate change mitigation, and also climate change adaptation. So we have three critical tools. Two of those tools, I'll say three critical softwares, which is accessible to anybody to use online. One of the software is called Edge, which we are going to be going deep into that today. Edge, as I said earlier, stands for Excellence in Design for Great Efficiency, right? So is a software developed by IFC to make sure that when you are putting up your building, you are able to assess it and assess the sustainability matrix of your building in terms of your energy, in terms of your water, and in terms of the embodied carbon in the material. So Edge focuses on the building as a whole, right? Then we have another tool called Apex. Apex focuses on large cities. How can you plan your city? How can you develop a climate action plan for your city at the city level, looking at city level energy, city level water, transportation, waste management as a whole, and greenhouse gas emissions coming at the city level, right? So while Edge looks at planning and designing your building, Apex tool looks at designing your city as a whole, looking at the critical areas and energy efficiency at the city level, waste management, water, and transportation as well. Then we have the last tool. So the first two tools, the Edge tool and the Apex tool, they focus on climate change mitigation, right? Basically, the outcome is to make sure that you are reducing your climate impact from your building construction and from towards your building operation. When you're looking at Apex, also looking at reducing your impact in designing your building, developing an action plan at the city level, and that becomes like a footprint for you to go towards probably a net zero at the city level. Then we have the last tool, which focuses on climate change adaptation. So called building resiliency, which is basically hazard mapping and resilience assessment framework for building infrastructure. So with that, you are able to assess based on the location of your building was the seismic requirement for this area, was the climate related risks for this area in terms of flooding, in terms of anything that you want to think about, and you designing something that can really adapt area. So in summary, our green building market transformation program as a whole at IFC looks at 3 tools. Edge, we look at climate mitigation in terms at the building level. Apex looks at climate mitigation at the city, climate mitigation action plan, and a financial planning tool at the city level. And we have the building resilience index, which looks at climate change adaptation, making sure you are adapting to shocks and more of an hazard mapping and resilience assessment. So the whole strategy for us as IFC, looking at the real estate sector, looking at buildings as a component of that, is in 4 parts, right? So we do investment and advisory for banks as well. We do investment and advisory for the building sector. Edge certification is a critical part of that, the baby, and that's what we are going to be looking at very soon. And we have and we also work with governments as well, developing building codes and incentives. And in 2018, we were able to collaborate with the Ghana Standards Authority to develop the new the Ghana Building Code that was launched in 2018 or thereabout. Yeah. So we work closely with government to be able to bring that in place, and even the new regulation. And the main idea is to, in the issue, we have a section, a part, which I'm going to show you soon, that really deals with green buildings, right? So critically integrating sustainability into all buildings that's going to be developed. But when we talk about green building, how do we define a green building, right? So we have the definition in 2 parts, right? We have what we call the qualitative definition, and we have the quantitative definition, right? The qualitative definition just basically goes like, okay, any building, you can consider any building that is green at the point that with the fact that when you were at the conceptualizing the whole idea of building, when you were designing the building, when you were constructing the building, when you were operating the building, and even at the end of life of the building, you were considering all environmental impact. So when I was doing the design, I put in place passive design ideas. When I was operating the building, I made sure that I was operating it sustainably in terms of my energy, water, and materials, blah, blah, blah. How do you how are you able to ascertain that this building is actually green if we are going to go by only the qualitative approach? Because anybody can claim that, right? So on the qualitative part, any building that has taken into consideration the environmental impacts and kind of mitigated against that during the whole life cycle of the building construction, operation, and end of life. But we at IFC, we are trying to, we've shifted the definition to a quantitative approach, right? So we are saying that a building should be considered green or is green without totally going against the qualitative definition, right? But we define a green building as any building that you can demonstrate at least that you are 20% more efficient in terms of energy, 20% more efficient in terms of water use in that building, and 20% more efficient in terms of the embodied carbon in the materials of construction. So in the construction of your choice of material, in the roof, walls, the concrete that you are using, your window frames, all the embodied carbon in those materials, are you doing 20% more than what is in the market? In terms of your energy use, is your building performing at least 20% more than what is in the market? In terms of water, is your building performing at least 20% more than what is in the market? So a green building is defined as any building that you've been able to demonstrate that your building is at least performing 20% more efficient in terms of energy, water, and the embodied carbon in the material. So what is Edge? Edge is in 3 parts, right? Edge is a free software where you can go in, design your building, any type of building you want to design your building. Edge is also an achievable standard. So after designing your building, you have a feedback whether you've been able to achieve the green building standard, which is at least 20% on energy, 20% on water, and 20% on the embodied carbon in material. Edge is also a certification system, which is a verified green label administered by a third party independent of IFC because there should be a third party verifier to show that what you designed meets the standard, and what you and meeting the standard, you are issued with this green certification label. So as I said earlier, Edge focuses on 3 key parts, right? The energy used in the building, the water used in the building, and the materials of construction, which literally translates into the embodied carbon in the material. But Edge certification has 3 levels. We have the level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 is called the Edge certified project, right? So you demonstrate that you meet after you using the software and providing all the evidences, and you go through the certification system. You meet 20% on energy, 20% on water, 20% on material. You are issued the level 1 Edge certified building certificate, right? Then level 2, you go beyond the standard, right? So we call it Edge Advanced. That means you are doing way more than what the market what is required, right? So for that, you demonstrate that your building is at least 40% more energy efficient than what it pertains in the market. On water, you can do 20, at least the 20, and on the materials, you can do the 20, right? Then we have the ultimate goal, which is the level 3, is the zero carbon certificate, right? Which is also an operational certificate, right? So for this to achieve the level 3 certificate, which is zero carbon, where initially I said that by 2030, all new buildings must be zero carbon. By 2050, all new and existing buildings must be zero carbon if we want to meet the climate goal in terms of the building construction sector. So this is the level everybody needs to be tending towards, right? So the level 3 zero carbon certification, you need to first of all demonstrate that your building is highly energy efficient first. Then you can offset the rest of your consumption, which literally translates to emissions with renewable energy, whether wind or solar or any renewable energy that you know, right? Or you purchase carbon offsets to offset your consumption, right? So for zero carbon certification, you need to meet the EDGE Advance mark, operate your building for 1 year, at least 1 year, and demonstrate that all your energy use is coming from a renewable energy source, or you purchase carbon offset to offset your consumption, right? But in this whole building sector, what are the key elements that we look out for, right? What are the key concepts? The key concept around the building physics, right? So how are you orienting your building? What is the heat gain into your space? Because buildings perform differently based on different climates, right? And a critical part for you to know whether your building is going to be efficient or not is based on the location of your building, the climate of that area. You can't compare a building built in Accra as compared to a building put up somewhere in Canada in a very cold region, right? Because of the different climate, right? So you need to design based on your location. That's why it's not always a good idea when you have all these all glass buildings here in this part of the world, right? So you design based on your location, which is critical, and that's a critical aspect of the building physics. What, based on this location, this is my climate, what is going to be the heat gain, what am I trying to achieve? I don't want much heat into my space. I want my space to be thermally comfortable. That's the next concept, right? In your space, wherever you are now, when the temperature is too high, you will not be comfortable in the space. Then you are looking to open your window, put on your fan, or if you have an air conditioning system, you close all your windows and you quickly switch on your air conditioning system. So thermal comfort is also critical, right? And how much energy do you need for cooling? I kept this as cooling because of this part of the world. That's what we basically do. We don't heat our spaces. We only cool our spaces, right? So what amount of energy, when after designing your building and ensuring that it is thermally comfortable, what amount of cooling energy will you need in that space, right? So all these are quantified. Mechanical engineers come to kind of design your cooling system. And how can I balance natural daylight in my space as against artificial daylight, right? How can I maximize daylight in my space? So these are the key concept and balancing that you will need to do for you to achieve a good building and a green building, right? So the real issue is finding a balance between the energy used in the building, your thermal comfort, and the natural daylighting system that you need in for your project, right? So it is all about balancing the wheel, right? Not having too much windows, which will bring in a lot of heat into your space, and balancing it with natural daylight, having shading devices over your window, and making sure that you have a very close loop in terms of your energy use, thermal comfort, and the natural daylight. So this is how the software looks like, right? Which is accessible for anybody online. If you go to edgebuildings.com, and you will see the and go to the Edge app. We on the edgebuildings.com, we even have a free training program on green buildings called Designing for Greater Efficiency, which you can take advantage of, right? So this is how the software looks like, the interface of the software looks like. So you you design your building, it gives you have your energy, water, and material. And what it does is like it looks at your design and develops a base case based on the market and compares it with what you are implementing in your building, right? So what you are implementing in your building, the difference between what you are implementing in your building and the base case is now the savings that you will achieve, and need to demonstrate whether you are meeting the standard or not. So based on your design, a base case is developed, and this base case is developed using one local building practices, local building systems, uses the building code, uses international building regulations as well, and other ISO certification systems as well. So it develops that base case for you. Then based on what you are implementing in the building, it shows whether your building is green or not. So the difference between, if you check the graph, that's the base case, and this is the improved case, the difference is now your saving. So when we talk about passive design concept, as earlier I talked about your building physics. How are you able to design using passive design concept, right? These are questions you will need to ask yourself when designing your building. Do I need to insulate my building? Yes, you will need a lot of insulation based on the climate, right? Whether you need insulation for your roof, for your wall, how much daylight do I want to balance? Because when you open your windows, you are bringing both light and heat as well. So will there be glare in the space when I open it? Can I put a shading device in here? Will this shading actually work, right? How deep will I put my shading, and a whole lot. So initially we talked about the passive design concept, right? Basically what you can implement in terms of the design of your building orientation. Do I need to have larger windows on this east facade? Do I need to have smaller windows on this north facade? So those are passive design concepts that literally can be implemented by a very good architect and support, right? So you move to technological intervention, which I also call active design, which are around what type of lighting am I using in my space? Are all my lights energy efficient? Are they smart? Are they sensed, so that when I go into the spaces where I don't normally use all the time, like in your offices, where you go into the washroom, you have a sensor in there that senses your presence, and puts on the lights and put it off again. What is the how efficient is your AC system? How efficient is your hot water heating systems as well? So what are the technological interventions you want to implement? So after all this, the program directed for everybody, but we've seen a lot of uptake from developers. So what are the key reasons that is driving developers to choose certification of their building and even edge, right? They are able to, one of it is everybody wants to sell faster, right? So have a quicker sales cycle, because again, the demand for green buildings, because they are efficient, they have low cost of operation. So everybody is demanding for a green building. So it gives them a quicker cycles, sale, leaner investment in terms of marketing, because they can just slam the certification on their marketing systems, and that pushes their brand even further. There's customer satisfaction, brand visibility, again, operational savings for the for the for the client as well. For investors in this project, this opens a new source of finance for them, right? Because everything is tending towards climate finance, green financing, green bonds, and the rest. So this kind of opens them to a portfolio of options to offer new products. It gives them opens up a portfolio opportunity for them, and serves as a simplified compliance process also for them, right? So for every project that is certified, us as IFC also kind of supports the project. We support the project to push the project forward, right? Through our marketing toolkit, right? We can have a joint press release. You can on the website, or when you go to, you will see a number of projects in different countries. Edge is actually in over 190 countries across the world. You could submit a project study which gives you on the website, puts your project on the website and kind of opens it up to the global market. We could publish your story, have the brand on billboards and the rest, basically pushing the project with IFC support as well. So a number of options. We could even hold a certification handover event and demonstrating clearly that your projects are clearly sustainable. So what are the critical benefits of having your building certified? 3 areas, right? Opens up the project for an access to a green finance. The developer can issue a green bond, establish a green portfolio of REITs. Legislations are changing as well. Again, legislation have caught up with a number of projects in Ghana, because we have a new legislation now. We have the new building code also now. So portfolio, if you are not going ahead of the curve, legislations are going to catch up with you, because everything now is tending towards sustainability, right? So demonstrating that your building is green is actually a critical part of the whole process, right? So future proving your asset is also green, and this also fits into the process of streamlining your ESG reporting framework. So how can you easily prove that you, as a building owner or building developer, you are critically aligned to ESG frameworks, right? So this slide talks about the building the building code, where in the building code, in the part section 37, we have, for you to be able to meet the standard, we have 2 pathways, because technically every building in Ghana based on the code now needs to be green, right? So when you take your building design to the assembly for your building permits, they will need to check some critical aspects of your building design and see whether those designs are consistent with the code, which literally means that is your building going to be green, right? So we have 2 parts. We have the prescriptive part, which they will look at the building envelope, what kind of AC systems you want to implement, the lighting, electrical, water efficiency, indoor air quality. Do you have any solar PV systems in there? That's the prescriptive part. So you have to fill that checklist to be able to make sure that your building is green. Then we have the certification pathway, right? So with this, if your building is certified green, even if it's at the design stage, you will not need to go through this prescriptive pathway, because all these things have been evaluated in the certification process for you to, before you could have had that certificate. So that clearly jumps over the long process of submitting numerous documents on the prescriptive part. So there are a number of certifications acceptable. Edge is acceptable, number one. LEED is also there. DGMB is there. BREEAM is there. Green Star is there. And in the future, if any certification is approved by the government in the future, that also will be placed on the certification pathway. So what's the process of certification largely, right? We have three critical steps. One, you use the software to design your building. You submit your design documents into the app. There's a third party that will come and pay the certification fee and the rest. There's a third party certification partner that will come, verify all your drawings, and if everything checks out at the design stage, you are issued the preliminary edge certificate, also called the design edge certificate, which forms part of a proof of compliance, which you can take to market your project, or demonstrate that your buildings are actually sustainable. Then you after that, and after you can go ahead and construct your building. After construction, there's the certification team will also come to site and verify whatever you have done, and after that you are issued the final edge certificate, which doesn't expire, right? The preliminary edge certificate expires is between 2 to 3 years, because within that period we believe you should have finished the construction of your project. So after getting your final edge certificate, you are issued a certificate, both these certificates that clearly shows where you stand in terms of energy, water, and embodied carbon in material, then gives you the interventions that you implemented under energy, water, and material to make you be green, right? So edge is kind of different from other financial certification system. One, edge is also a financial calculator. So you are able to see the payback period for every intervention that you implement, right? So what will be my incremental cost? What will be my payback period? It's an easy impact reporting system, like I talked about earlier. The ESG frameworks, aligned to most ESG frameworks, is a way of simplified compliance, and you have the World Bank Group logo brand behind this. And it's also cost effective. So you can use edge for new building, existing building, or even if you want to renovate a portfolio of your building, looking at homes, hospitality, retail, offices, hospitals, education, warehouses, light industry, university, sport facility, religious facilities, homes as well. So you can use edge for everything that you can think about. Then after the final certificate, you are issued based on your level that we talked about. Level 1, certified green. Level 2, edge advanced. Level 3, zero carbon. You are issued this plug, and that can be pasted on your building, that shows clearly your performance, right? Edge is also aligned with so many investor and regulatory frameworks, ICMA, EU taxonomy, climate bond initiative, CPD, GREPS. EDGE is aligned to all those frameworks and standards. So what are the incentives for green buildings, right? So we've seen a number of drivers and incentives developed by different governments over time to kind of drive green buildings. One, the benefit to government as well is the benefit to government is around one. There's when buildings at large are green, there's a reduction on the national grid as well. There's environmental benefit to the government as well. So the government have created around tax incentives as we found in Brazil and Colombia, bonus density where people are given, even if a particular zone is zoned as a 2-story, because you are developing a green building there, you are given an extra story to go, so that it largely leads to extra income for the developer. So we've seen expedited permit, we've seen grants, and we've seen technical assistance in South Africa. We've seen net metering. Even in Ghana, we've seen legislation being changed to attract green building. One of the example is the Sekondi Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly, where they gave 30% discount on the permit fee if your building is green. EDGE is growing globally. This data from February 2023, we've been in 89 countries, over 8,000 certified projects and growing, over 340,000 housing units certified, over 1.1 million tons CO2 saved per year. And if you check the map, you see where we have green buildings. Even we have some now in the US and in the UK certified with EDGE. So you can see EDGE from 2015, 2016, EDGE has been growing exponentially. You will see the yellow part, which is Ghana, which has been growing largely. And now we have over 500,000 square meters as at early this year of certified projects that with EDGE in Ghana. South Africa, the biggest. Ghana is doing very well in that, and we've seen a lot of uptick in Ghana. This basically the timeline where the program was launched in 2017. We had our first certified project, the modern baby unit. The modern baby unit at Constromart Kumasi. Then in 2018, we supported the government to develop and launch the building code. 2019, there were incentives for secondary Takoradi railboat properties and certified 2,800 housing units. And we've seen a lot of success also on green building regulations as well as we talked about, and it's been growing rapidly. So just a few of the projects. We've seen railboat properties, so it demonstrated at least 32% on energy, 31% water, 72% on embodied energy in the material. A total floor space of 191,000, saving 0.01 tons of CO2 per year. You have Genesis Apartments as well. Also in Ghana. In Ghana, we have over 26 projects. These are not all. I just picked a few. This is the National Home Ownership Fund as well. Some of the projects you find them on the website xbuildings.com. Then national home ownership as well. This seems like a partnership with the government, and their project is even edge advanced. So you could see even affordable housing in Tamale, Lago housing. You see the intervention, reduced window to wall ratio, natural ventilation, efficient lighting, internal and external, efficient water fixtures, and low bodied carbon material. I'll bring one place, and that brings me to the end. Edge is currently supported the free because this powerful software is free. Edge is supported by the UK government in Ghana with initial funding from SECO, the Swiss government earlier. I think I'll stop here and happy to take a few questions. Thank
Okay,
you.
Mr. Ocran, thank you very much for the very informative presentation. You kept your word. You said you do exactly 45 minutes.
Yes.
Kudos, yes. So, like he said, Mr. Ocran said, the floor is open for questions. If you have a question for him, you can just go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll be happy to take your questions. Okay, I know you've expanded on this a bit, but then what role do you think the government is currently playing in regulating and providing policies for promoting green building certification currently, especially in Ghana?
Yeah, thanks. I think the government from 2018 they've been doing a lot of work, right? The old building code did not have some of the elements of green that people can stand on and develop green.
Okay.
Although I will say that if you look at the old building stock that were developed with those codes, I think you could find some green elements in them, right? So when you go to the what I would call the ancient part of Accra with those old buildings, with the collaboration with our old local architects, even go to University of Ghana and the rest. Early we will see an all glass building in all those spaces. So they were already designing with green building ideas, right? But
Okay.
I think at some point a generation shifted to, I don't know where we went to copy this concept from, having alt buildings around, all glass buildings, right? So there's been that need which the government has been doing quite some work. So the building code was launched with our support. The new legislation is also enforced in passed by Parliament, I know, because which also backs this and kind of have those green elements embedded in it. But what is required now is the laws are always there, is the implementation, even at the MMDA levels, at every point, these fine documents need to be implemented.
Okay. Well, that actually brings me to my next question. What are some of the challenges or barriers that you found, unique challenges you found typically when it comes to implementing the green building policies?
Yeah, basically two major barriers, right? One, I would say finance, right? So we need a lot of finance to go towards green buildings, right? We need a lot of products developed by the banks, by financial institutions to go towards green buildings, right? Developing products incentives, but also that's on the government side to make sure that we are getting green buildings at scale. And the other one is actually around capacity building, right? So the real estate professionals actually understand this concept of green buildings that we are talking about. Are they well equipped to deliver, to implement this project? Is the architect able to design a green building? Is the mechanical engineer looking at sustainability in their design? Is the electrical engineer looking at sustainability? Is the wet services engineer looking at sustainability? Even the structural engineer, are they looking at sustainability in the choice of cement and the rest? So there's a huge need for capacity building. And please, if you can go to the website, there's a free training. I understand the training will cease to be free after some time. I don't know when, myself. Yeah, so please,
thank you for the
just
heads up.
yeah, take advantage of it for now. It's a very, very robust system. That's training. We are deploying it in universities across the world, right? So we are signing partnership with universities across the world to develop this green building knowledge to university higher level university students as well. So for now, it's still free on the website. You will see it, designing for greater efficiency. Go in there, take the course, complete the course, and I'm sure at the end of the day, you have more knowledge about the whole concept of green buildings, and you'll be more equipped to deliver some projects as well.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So I believe this will be a good place to wrap up our session. I see Dixon here says that this has been a very insightful presentation. Thank you. Okay. So I think we have a question here from Jacqueline. Jacqueline, you can go ahead.
Okay. Hello. Good morning. And
Morning.
thank you, Mr. Ocran, for the presentation. I wanted to find out, so once you log your information on the app and you design on the app, in building the structure, before you receive the certification, do they come and do inspection, or logging on the app is sufficient?
Yeah, so yeah, thanks, Jacqueline. So for that, we depend on your design drawings, right? Because at that point we don't have anything to come and see on site. So the certification partner looks at your design, your architectural drawing, your mechanical drawing, your electrical layout drawing, your wet services drawing, the data sheets for all the equipment you will be installing, your structural drawings. All those are the ones that are going to be evaluated at the design stage, right? So it is after the construction where you have these elements put in there and fixed. That's when they come back and physically examine it and make sure that everything checks out, and before you are issued the final certificate.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ocran. So I believe we don't have any more questions, so we should be able to wrap up the session now. As we conclude today's session on green building certification and compliance and infrastructure development, I'd like to extend my gratitude to Mr. Ocran for this very insightful presentation. Through our exploration of the importance of green building certification, we've gained valuable insights into promoting sustainability and environmental responsibility in infrastructure projects. Thank you all who also joined here today for your active engagement and contributions to this meaningful discussion. I wish all of us a very good day.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too. Bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye.